Hello, welcome to May 2025. My name is Lynette, and I'm reading from the Love Exquisite Magazine, which you can access for free at loveexquisitellc.com. I'm reading the Empowering Word of the Month in the Empowering Moment section of the May 2025 Love Exquisite Magazine. Happy Mother's Day. Happy birthday to all my fellow Taurians out there. Happy birthday to me. May 12th, my May baby. Also, happy Memorial Day. Thank you for your selfless service to all the soldiers and veterans out there. So, the empowering word of the month for May is compromise. Ooh, I know some of y'all heard that word and just cringed. You like, no, out my way, highway. Anyway, listen, this one's for you. Okay? Compromise. So for some people, compromising means to relinquish control over something or someone. Compromising is not easy for some people. However, it is an important skill set to have in life because the reality is that things cannot always go your way. That's important. If things always go your way, someone in that situation is not happy. If you are the only person who always get to do what you want to do, go where you want to go, that other person on the other receiving end of that is not happy. Why? Because their needs are never getting met if yours are the only needs that are getting met. So just think about that. So that's why compromising is important. Compromising is not about forsaking your own wants and needs. Gotta listen to this one. This is an important point to make. Compromising is not about forsaking your own wants and needs, because most of y'all are afraid to compromise because y'all think that's what it's about. It's not. I'm about to drop some real jewels. I'm going to say it over. Compromising is not about forsaking your own wants and needs. It is about reaching an amicable agreement that requires you to consider how your decisions can impact someone else. Woo-hoo. Drops mic. I can't. Sometimes I make these things up and I'll be like, I said that. Thank you, Holy Spirit, because I know it ain't nothing but God that gives me these messages to deliver to someone who needs to hear it. Someone like you who's watching this video right now. So continue to listen. You have to be flexible and adaptable in life because everything is not always about you. Oh, I got to say that one more again. Run it back. Everything is not always about you, baby. It's not. It ain't always about you, boo. It ain't. You head like this. You got to think about it. It's a great big world out there with a whole lot of people in it. Everything ain't always about you. Okay? It ain't always about you. So when things do not always go as planned, you have to learn how to adapt, pivot to new and different things. Compromising requires you to be mentally mature. I love that word. For those of y'all who listen to these videos, you know I say that a lot. You got to be mentally mature enough to know that it is selfish to be uncompromising. You always want things to go your way and you don't want to compromise. That's selfish. So if you compromise, it doesn't mean that you're a pushover. So know that as well. In regards to morality and ethics, there are some things that you do not compromise on. Everything else should be negotiable. So when it comes to morals and standards and ethics, there's some things that you just don't bend on when it comes to those things like ethics and morals, your standards. But everything else should be negotiable. You know, if it doesn't involve your morality and your ethics, if it's unethical, we're not compromising. You know what I mean? If it's unethical or immoral, we're not compromising. But if it goes within my value system, the morals or whatever, it's not going to kill me or you. We can work to reach a happy medium. That's what compromising is about. Meeting in the middle. So you also must have to be realistic. You have to have realistic expectations in regards to what you expect someone to compromise on or to be compromising about. What is it that you're asking of me? What is it that you're asking of the person that you're asking them to compromise? Compromising is about, again, meeting in the middle. It is not about you getting your needs met or the other person getting their needs met. It's about asking yourself, how can this situation work out well for all parties involved? So when you approaching compromising, or you in a compromising situation, or somebody's asking you to do something that you feel uncomfortable with because you just don't want to do it because that's just you and how you are, and you don't do anything different from what you used to doing as a robot. I've been doing this for many years and blah blah blah. You hear that a lot. People are so inflexible when they've been doing something a certain way that they can't understand that things can be done differently, maybe even more efficiently or more effectively, if you're willing to listen. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you got to try and do new different things, because it's never one way to achieve the same goal. So keep that in mind. That's why you got to compromise. So life is not only about you or what you need. Let me go back, because I jumped some. So compromising is about meeting in the middle. These are unedited, as you know. It is not about getting your needs met or the other person getting their needs met. It is about you asking yourself, how can this situation work out well for all parties involved? So when you're approaching a compromising situation, ask yourself that question. This will help you get through the compromise. How can this situation work out well for all parties involved? So when you do not compromise, it is really a form of bullying, because you're saying, no, I want my way. I want it my way, or nothing. It's like you bullying somebody to do something that goes contrary to their morality or their ethics. That's bullying. So eventually all bullies are met with resistance. So if you really want the person to kind of come on board, you have to compromise. You have to work with them. You got to meet them in the middle, and then see how you two can develop that amicable agreement to move forward. So life is not, again, only about you or what you need. Life is made up of a whole lot of different people who will have competing priorities and different needs and wants as well. So you got to consider that when you're trying to compromise. Therefore, it is important to learn how to compromise in various situations. So make sure that you learn how to compromise without compromising your happiness and sanity. That's important. Life is never one-sided. You got to know that. It's multifaceted and sometimes even complex. So nothing is black and white. There will always be some gray areas to consider. So all of us must learn how to compromise when necessary. I'm going to say this again. When you do compromise, you got to learn how to compromise without it compromising your happiness and your sanity. If it does, don't do it. If it compromises your happiness or your peace of mind and your sanity, don't do it. So you got to know when and what situations to do it. Again, if it goes against your morals and standards, don't do it. Is certain things you just have to stand on, but that doesn't mean you got to stand on everything, that you can't compromise about anything. It doesn't mean that. It just means that there's some things that you just can't bend on in terms of morality and standards. So if being compromising has a negative connotation for you, I encourage you to rethink about how you view and define the word compromise. So if you don't like compromising and you think of it negatively, remember this: compromising is not about forsaking your own needs and your own wants. It is truly about reaching an amicable agreement that requires you to consider how your decisions can impact someone else. Compromise.